Hey guys, welcome to another video, and today I want to talk about Project Retro Games, a company I've been talking about for quite a few years now. They got some new inventory, and I wanted to show you guys what new games they have in stock. I'll put a link to their store if you guys want to buy anything online from them, so make sure you look for that in the description. As of right now, the release of this video, I am at the Game On Expo, and if you see any of these games that you might want to buy in the video, we might have them at the show, so make sure you stop by our booth. Now, before I go into the games that are going to be in this video, I want to let you guys know about Project Retro Games just in case you haven't heard of them before. They release physical versions of translations and hacks. They do this for people who of course want physical, but most importantly want to play on original hardware. Now of course you could play everything for free on an emulator, but most old school guys like myself want to play on the original hardware. And of course a shout out to the modders and translators who make these games happen. I'm going to go over each game by the system they're available for. So there's Sega Cd, PS1, and also Super Nintendo. Now on to the video. Here's Resident Evil 3 The Factory. So this hack is a little special because it is actually a mod based off the original concept of Resident Evil 3. Now the game actually starts at the Dead Factory. All you guys know that play Nemesis, like the Dead Factory is the last level in the game. This one actually starts there. This version adds new scenarios obviously and new enemies to deal with. So a lot to be excited for Resident Evil 3 fans like myself. Definitely check this one out. Here's Aconcagua. Originally, this game was supposed to be released at the end of the PlayStation's life cycle, but for some reason, that didn't happen. But thanks to translation, the game is here now. Now, the game takes place in the beginning on an airplane. You're going to a destination, but your plane ends up crashing on the mountain, and I won't tell you why. But you're stuck on this mountain, but the twist in this game is not only trying to get off of the mountain, is there's people after you. So the game is very entertaining from that aspect. It gets very tense. Now you have different characters to use in the game. Each have their own different function to help you get off the mountain, but it's pretty crazy thinking about being in that situation. Like, think about the movie Alive, but there's people after you as well. Pretty cool game that a lot of people don't even know about. So hopefully you guys will try this game out. Wow, this physical is still in stock.
I do not think that the crash was an accident.
Why do you think so?
I've been targeted for assassination many times in the past. This crash might...
We ought to consider our next moves rather than worry about the cause of the crash. When airplanes crash in mountain regions, the search for survivors usually takes longer than you would expect.
What? Are you saying the rescue party is not coming right away?
There's no guarantee that they would find us immediately.
What would happen to us if they didn't find us?
That's why we have to find a transmitter.
Forces collection. So this consists of 3 games in the series, and I am very happy that I found out about these games around 10 years ago. Somebody emailed me, said, hey Reggie, you gotta check these games out. They play like Metal Slug, and they were right. Now, not on the exact same level as Metal Slug, but pretty close when it comes to gameplay. Now, the games were only originally released via PAL territories, but now they've been converted to NTSC. So you won't have to worry about the game playing weird or displaying incorrectly on your television. Now, these games were also released on the Game Boy Advance, but I don't think those are co-op. You could play co-op 2-player on the PS1 version, so there's a little bit of difference there. It's hard to tell out of all the games which is my favorite in the series. The footage you're seeing here is actually the 3rd game, but I really feel like the 2nd game is my favorite in the series. But that could change at any moment depending on how I'm feeling. But the main thing is, do I think you guys would like these games? Yes, I do. You know, it's a little bit slower than Metal Slug, but it's more adventurous, I would say. You could go straight through the levels, but you can also explore too to kind of see any extra things you could do in the game. So I think that's pretty cool. I wish that some of the backgrounds were a little bit more like interactive, but hey, this is PS1 era, so they weren't really focused on all that. But still, guys, definitely a game worthy of picking up. Try this one out. Here's Mega Man Complete Works. So this includes Mega Man 1 through 6 and of course 8. 7 unfortunately was never released for the PlayStation 1, But it's nice to have these games to play on the PS1, but I don't really know if a lot of people will want to play these on the PS1 considering that the Legacy Collection is out. But it does come with a lot of cool extras, so there's that. But maybe the hardcore Mega Man fans will definitely want this. You guys let me know. Here's Resident Evil Director's Cut Ultimate. Now, this has a lot of extras, but first of all, I want to let you guys know that this edition includes the FMV scene that was cut out of our Director's Cut, so you'll see it in all its glory. Plus, you get a game called the Battle Maze, which has the gameplay randomized, where you're trying to escape the mansion, but all the rooms are like randomized, so that's pretty entertaining. There's lots of extras on this, including like uncut scenes where like shows like the actors like messing around and everything. So I love that they included all that, but definitely a must-have for Resident Evil fans. Here's the Call of Cthulhu Prisoner of Ice. This is a sequel to Call of Cthulhu, the Shadow Comet for the IBM computer or PC back in the day. But anyways, this game came out for the Sega Saturn and PlayStation exclusively in Japan. But now it's been translated in English. And I don't know if they used the PC version to kind of just transfer it over or just kind of like start over with certain dialogue, but with text, I would say. But anyways, this is a point-and-click adventure. It does have horror elements to it, but I'm not really sure if it's anything to really like scare anybody. It's like it'll kind of creep you out with certain situations, but it's actually a decent point-and-click adventure. And of course, it's got the voice acting in it as well. So I'm not sure how a lot of people feel about point-and-click games. You know, I feel like people are all over the place with them. It's kind of like a lost art in a way, but this one kind of reminds me. I think it's as good as Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade, the point-and-click adventure game, if anybody's played that. But anyways, this is available from Project Retro Games. You guys might want to check it out. Mega Man X3, my third favorite game in the Mega Man X series, and not in numbered order, X4, X2, and then X3. Now, these have also been converted to NTSC, so you won't have any trouble like playing these games on your television. Now, I'm not really sure how people feel about the soundtrack of the PlayStation version. I actually like it a lot, but I feel like more people like would rather hear the Super NES version of the game when it comes to the music, but maybe that's just me, but I prefer this arranged soundtrack on the PS1. Now, just in case you guys don't know, this game actually has arranged cutscenes in it, so it has arranged intro, animated intro, and when you fight bosses, when you pick a boss to go to, they get an animated cutscene. As well, you get an animated ending and kind of like mid-animated scenes as well in this game. Zia and the Goddess of Life. So this is a turn-based RPG that I think it was made with RPG Maker. I'm not really sure about that. You rarely see any homebrew games for the PS1, at least for me. I mean, this is like, I believe this is the first one I've ever seen for it. So I feel like this game is rare in that own right. But if you like turn-based RPGs, this might be an interesting story for you to check out. Here is Xenogears 2.0 collection. Oh my god, this is an insane collection, guys. It comes with so much stuff. So as you're seeing it here, soundtrack, art books, the game itself. And when I say 2.0, this is Japanese dub, but it has English subtitles. A lot of people complained about the English dub back in the day. I didn't really care about it, but I guess I can understand it now, like playing the game again. But still, very cool to have. Lots of cool extras as you're seeing here. And if you already own the regular game, you can just throw it in this box as well. But yeah, definitely something cool to have for people who love Xenogears. I wish we had got a proper sequel to it, but maybe someday. Now, there's a lot of moments in Xenogears that are epic, but one of my favorites is probably when Satan, or Satan, however you want to pronounce it, got his sword. Like, when he got the sword in the game, that was like one of the most epic moments in the game for me, because he was my main character to use, so when they changed him up, I was just blown away. Here's a Breath of Fire collection. So this comes with Breath of Fire 3, the original game plus the soundtrack, and an uncensored version of Breath of Fire 4. They're calling it the undubbed hack version. So it comes with a soundtrack, glove box, posters, cards, 4 CDs, and more, as you can see. So definitely a cool collection for the people who love the Breath of the Fire series. Here's Galaxy Frontline YUNA Part 1 and 2. This also includes Saphire for the PC Engine or TurboGrafx. And all the games have been translated in English. I don't think Saphire has, because that's just a shoot 'em up. But YUNA, both of those games are visual novels, so those are fully translated in English. Don't know too much about those games, but if you like visual novels, it's definitely something you could probably get into. But the game I'm going to be playing here is Saphire. I love shoot 'em ups, and this one's one of the top games out there. It's actually considered one of the most expensive games out there, but nobody could tell the difference between a legit copy of the game, so you're better off buying like a repro like this. Here's the Terminator. This is the movie soundtrack edition. This replaces all the music by Tommy Tallarico, because I believe he's the one that did the original soundtrack for the game, but it replaces it with all the movie soundtracks. So I feel like the movie soundtrack is more fitting. Obviously, I can't play it here because of copyright claim. If you like the first Terminator movie, you know, it has some pretty intense tunes in it. So yeah, just imagine that playing this game. Here's Final Fight for the Sega Cd. So this is a CPS 1 soundtrack edition. So it plays the arcade soundtrack over the Sega Cd soundtrack, which was kind of weird at times. But I actually like the Sega Cd soundtrack, but I got to go with the arcade, though, for fitting this game. But yeah, Sega Cd, if you guys remember back in the day, even added voice acting into the game, which was pretty insane. This one has voice acting as well. So the voice acting is mixed in with the CPS 1 soundtrack. Here's Custom Robo for the N64. I had no idea this edition existed, and now it's translated in English. I actually have the GameCube version, and I have the DS version, which I don't think a lot of people know about. But it seems the series started on the N64. Now, I'm not really sure why this version never came here officially, but either way, I'm happy it's here now. I actually enjoy the GameCube one a lot. Haven't played it in a while, though, but I'm going to try this one out and see how it pulls me in. So if you guys have played this game, let me know. If you haven't, it's time to pick it up. Here is Bomberman 64 Arcade Edition. I guess we didn't get the Arcade Edition over here in America, but we definitely got Bomberman 64 if I remember right. I think it was like more of a 3D-ish type game. Anyways, Bomberman is Bomberman. Like the definitive version of the series to me has always been the Sega Saturn one, because you could play, I believe you could play like 16 players on that one. Was it 8 to 16 players? Something like that. Haven't played in a while, but playing that version was awesome. But this is probably the next best thing. Bomberman on an N64, up to 4 players, maybe 8. Sin and Punishment for the N64. Now, this came out in Japan, but it had Japanese subtitles, but the game plays in English. This game cuts out those Japanese subtitles, replaces them with English ones. Now, Sin and Punishment, we did get part 2 in America on the Wii. I think it's a great game. It's a crime that the first game wasn't released in America. I don't know why it wasn't. It should have been. This would have helped boost the N64 back when it came out. At least I think it would. If it came out on time, there was delays, I believe, with it. So maybe that's why it eventually didn't come out to America. But it is a treasure game. You guys know them for making games like Gunstar Superheroes, Guardian Heroes, things like that. But yeah, this is a must-have for your N64 system. I mean, if you like run and gun games, well, more specifically, a 3D run and gun game, you'll like this one. A 3D run and gun game that's on rails. Here's Viewpoint 2064. Now, unfortunately, this game did not get released back in the day, but better late than never. Now, this is a prototype. The game wasn't completely finished. It has some bugs in it, but it's totally playable, and you can go through, I think, over like 15 levels. Not sure why it got canceled, but, you know, I think this would have stood out if it came out back in the day. But thank goodness someone dumped it. We really appreciate you for doing that. And I also just want to say, it's sad to see something like this get lost. You know, I don't know what they wanted to do with this game, why it was like canceled, but to throw something like this away after all the work they put into it, it's just like shameful, you know. So like I said, I'm glad somebody had it and they dumped it for us to play. And looking at this game, I think it would have did pretty good on the 64. I mean, the game even has Rumble Pack features, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, it had a lot of potential, but hey, it's here now. Even though it's not in a perfect form, the game is still very much enjoyable. Here's Cotton 100%. I never thought this day would come that this game got translated in English. There was no real reason to, but like I told you guys in videos before, the dialogue and story in these games are hilarious, so it's a crime that nobody would understand them. But you could learn Japanese, but now you don't have to, I guess. But anyways, I always liked this game, and I actually used to choose this one over Panorama Cotton because that's like more like a rail shooter. This one sticks to the original formula, being a horizontal shooter, and it's easy to get into. Not a hard game, just I think this would be a good beginning like shoot 'em up game for fans who want to kind of get into the genre. Super Ninja Kid. I thought this got released in America, but I guess I was wrong. But this one is pretty new to me. It's a part of the Ninja Jamaro series that goes way back. The first game I actually played of the series was on the NES, and you guys know we hacked that game and we changed some of the graphics in it and called it Reggie's Radical Adventures from back in the day. But this one looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. This is a co-op 2-player game as well, so looks very interesting. Not very sure about how the game plays all the way through, but from what I've seen so far, it looks like it's on point. Here's Hyperiria. So this originally was an anime series, OVA. I think it lasted around 6 episodes, and I thought they were pretty good, especially with the animation from back in the day. This game is somewhat of a sequel, I believe, or maybe it's a prequel. I can't remember. But the game, I want to be honest with you guys, the controls are very floaty, but you get used to them. But just going to put it out there, they can be a bit floaty. I played this one at Jason's a few months ago, and we almost beat the game. We got at least halfway through it before we got tired, but it was a good experience. So the Japanese version of this game is very expensive. I've seen it go for like $400 now. It wasn't always like that, but somebody caught on to the game, and now it's super expensive. But I think this is the better way to get it without breaking the bank. Here's Sengoku for the Super Nintendo. I had no idea that they made this version of the game. It originally came out in the arcades, and I believe it was made by SNK, but this version here is made by Data East. And if you enjoy beat-em-up type games, this might be the game for you. And thankfully, it doesn't suffer from that single-player beat-em-up that started with Final Fight for the Super Nintendo. This one is actually 2 players. I don't know if it has a lot of slowdown with 2 players as you get further in the game, but still, knowing that they made this game, like, it's pretty impressive. And yes, this version of the game has been English translated. Here's Ghost Chaser Densai. So I remember about 10 years ago, this is probably considered one of the best beat 'em ups on the Super Nintendo, or at least in the top 10. I shouldn't say best because, you know, that's subjective, but it's definitely one of the top 10 beat 'em ups you must play on the Super Nintendo. Now, originally it was an arcade game. The arcade had, I think it had 4 characters you could choose from. The Super Nintendo version only has 3, which is totally fine. One of the most standout things about this game is the moveset you have for your characters. You have all these different super moves you could use, which really stand out. You have a power meter to show you how powerful they can get. Just a lot of stuff that makes this game stand out from some of the regular beat 'em ups on the Super Nintendo. Here's Melfand Stories. So I saw this game years ago, and I didn't pull the trigger on it because it was going for cheap. You know, I mean, I remember seeing this for like 15, 20 bucks for a complete in box version for Japan. But it got popular, and the price rose on it, so I ended up forgetting about it until Project Retro told me that this game got an English translation. So very happy about that. I would describe this game as an action side-scrolling game. It's very similar. It feels very similar to something like Magic Sword, but not quite as action-oriented as that one, I would say. But still a lot of fun. Very cutesy, as you can see the graphics here. I think this one would have been a game that a lot of people would have liked back in the day. But hey, it's here now. Let me know what you guys think. Here is Alcahest. Now, this game was developed by HAL Laboratories, but it was published by Square. Well, back then they were known as Squaresoft, but now you guys know them as Square Enix. But HAL Laboratories, you guys know them from the Kirby games. Now, when it comes to gameplay, this game is similar to Gauntlet, but this is only a single-player game, even though you have like multiple characters you can use in the game. You have the swordsman, which you start out with, and then you have characters assist them one at a time during the levels. You could go through the game easily without knowing what the story was, but having an English translation for it actually is pretty good to have, you know, just in case somebody wants to like know what's really happening. You can actually tell what's happening by the gameplay, but still, some people need that dialogue to happen. But anyways, a must-have for your Super Nintendo collection. I also wanted to give you guys a quick look at what's inside of the manuals, the quality. A lot of these manuals are in color too, just to let you guys know. So I thought that was impressive because, you know, usually people go the cheap route. They say, nope, black and white. But now Project Retro Games say, hey, let's put some color in here. So good on them. I come from that old school era where manuals were, they were important. I don't know if a lot of people feel that way about them now. You know, we don't even get real manuals anymore with new games. I mean, we do sometimes with those limited printed games, but it's just, I don't know, it's just not the same. But out of all the games shown in this video, really, you guys, hope you found at least one that, you know, piques your interest. You know, a lot of games to talk about. I wanted to get this video out like a couple months ago, but just wanted to wait until we had everything. So it's here now. Project Retro Games is restocked, so ready to go. So you should be able to find all these games on the website. If it's not out now, it's definitely on pre-order. Alright guys, so that's all I got for you in this video. All links to Project Retro will be in the description and the pinned comment. The Radical one, and I will see you all later.